What is up guys, it's your boy Solam here, back with another Classic WoW video for the fresh Classic WoW servers, and today we're focusing on hardcore Classic WoW, and moreover I'll be talking about something that I don't really like about hardcore Classic WoW, and this is something that has happened in the past. It happened again recently, and on one of my shamans, my first shaman, like actually my first time playing Horde, and this had to happen in my first time ever doing Wailing Caverns as well, as a Horde, kind of tainted my whole experience for hardcore on these fresh servers. But then again, it's happened before, and this is griefers. Now, once again, this is about the hardcore servers, so if you don't care about hardcore at all, then hopefully you didn't even click on the video, because the video's title and thumbnail should be very transparent about the hardcore element here, and we're focusing on hardcore Classic WoW, and the topic of today is griefing. Now, I recently was attempted to griefed, somebody attempted to grief me, not just me, but the entire group, in a recent Wailing Caverns run, and I'm gonna give you guys the backstory, and you'll tell me if the grief was justified, which I really hope nobody thinks. So pay attention to what happens at this moment right here. The tank pulled 2 mobs and the boss, because this wouldn't really be a problem, but the healer doesn't heal, and when we pull the mobs back to the healer, he runs away. So the healer waited for us to pull a boss plus 2 mobs, and then decided not to heal us, not to do anything, and the second we pulled back, he started to run out. Now the tank thought the healer DC'd, which is why he pulled back. And that would have been fair, like if he just stood still and actually DC'd, but the second we pulled the mobs back to the healer, he started running, and while running, he said, "Ha ha, get wrecked," and then he was like, he was just like saying so many weird things, and the second I said right here, we will report him, he was like, "Try to report," and this is kind of what I want to talk about. Why isn't there an actual section for reporting griefers in hardcore? And at this point I was waiting for the tank to jump down so I could heal him. Didn't really happen though, but we all made it out. Like, we all just jumped down there and we all made it out alive. Now let's have some backstory of what happened here, because the druid was basically like pissed off the entire run, and it all started when this tank was he was doing pulls, by the way. He was not just trying to pull them back one by one, he was doing like actual big pulls quite often, and just trying to go through Wailing Caverns in a somewhat like good pace, like pretty good pace. So he was just pulling like whenever he could, and at one point we did a 6 mob pull, which can be quite dangerous, and the healer, instead of healing, like there's a quest in Wailing Caverns to pick up something called the Serpent Bloom, and if you're doing the run regularly, then not everyone can loot those flowers. So what the healer did was go and pick up 2 flowers in the middle of a 6 mob pull, to the point where the tank almost died. And like, you can go back on my Twitch and watch everything unfold if you really want to. Like, the whole video from that day is still live, so you can check it out if you want to have like proof or whatever. But the backstory is, we made a big pull, and the healer, instead of healing the big pull, decided to go and loot 2 flowers for his quest in the middle of the pull, to where the tank almost died. He went down to like 10% health, I believe, and that is not a good place to be in a tank. Like 10% health and the 6 mobs on you, that is not a good place to be. So at that point, the tank said, "Healer, can you please help us with the pull and loot your flowers after?" And after the tank said that, the healer was just pissed off the entire time, and I guess like 20 minutes later, like 15-20 minutes, he decided to, "I'm not gonna heal you anymore, I'm gonna let you die here." Now thankfully, we all made it out alive, but it's just like, griefing in Classic WoW is something I've never really understood, and in this case it's such a snowflake grief as well, because the tank was very respectful. Now that part I cannot show you guys, because my web camera is always covering the chat. When I'm streaming as well, it's covering the chat, so I can't really show you that part of what the warrior said, but I promise you, he was very respectful. He just said, "Hey healer, when we're doing a bigger pull like that, can you please help with the pull, and then loot the flowers after?" That is all he said. And the healer responded in a very passive-aggressive way then as well, like in that response. And then 15-20 minutes later, he just decided, now's a good time for me to grief, and just let them die. Now, the thing is, this is not the first time this happens to me, and I just feel like hardcore breeds the most snowflake people out there, and very weird people as well. On the official hardcore servers that launched over a year ago now, I was playing on, I think it was my druid, right, my first alt, because on the warlock I didn't really do any dungeons, me and Bostrom just pumped to level 60, and on my alt, a druid, at some point I was doing a Maraudon run, and we did the Maraudon run, nothing really went wrong for quite a while, and then a rogue in the group decided to start griefing. And do you know what the reason for the grief was? Like, he was starting to pull mobs and vanish, right? So he pulled 4 extra mobs in Maraudon, dangerous mobs as well, and then heartstoned out. Now, we survived there as well, because we jumped down the waterfall, and then we also heartstoned, so like we had to jump and then heartstone. So nobody died, but he tried to grief, and the reason was, we were not going fast enough. Because he was looking for a princess run, but we advertised it as a quest run, so we did a full Maraudon run, and when we got to the princess part, like, as we were done with the quest, the rogue just like rage quit, and he was like, you are taking way too long, you were gathering up, you were gathering quests, you were doing this stuff, and now I'm just gonna grief. The reason he decided to grief was that he didn't read what the advertisement was. Because I was the leader, right? I made a Maraudon quest run group that he requested to join, and he was mad because it took too much time. He wanted to just pump through and do things fast, and he decided to grief the whole group because it went too slow. And then he didn't stop there. This whole grief took like a week. Every time I did a dungeon, he would whisper the healer, and like they told me this. He would whisper the healer and pay them gold not to heal me, or like offer them gold if they'd never healed me. And likewise, he would offer the tank gold as well if he would pull mobs and heartstone out, like Light of Elune and heartstone, or just like in some way, shape or form grief. He was trying to pay people off to kill me in hardcore for like a week straight. Just because he misread and joined a Maraudon quest run. Griefing in hardcore is so cringe. It really is cringe. And I don't get it. Like, why? Why put your reputation on the stake like that? Nobody's gonna want to play with you again. In this case as well. The druid's name is like right here. And he's on Soulseeker. If you're playing Horde on hardcore and on EU, I would be very cautious about grouping with this guy. Now, to be fair, we should have been as well, because his name is Wife Cheater. Like, that's kind of like red flag number 1, right there. But, yeah, just be careful. And if you're doing dungeons on hardcore, be extra careful. Always be ready for some idiot trying to grief, and just be ready to either run out, heartstone. Just be on the lookout all the time, because you never know. In this case as well, the healer, even though he was pissed off after the tank told him to actually heal, he still kept going for like 20 minutes before deciding to do the grief. So like, it can happen at any point. Just be very careful. Now, with that being said, that is a lot of like, that's one big reason why I don't like hardcore, the griefing aspect. But I just want to end the video by saying that I absolutely love hardcore in general. It is just such a cool way to play the game. In general, it has the best community as well. There's so many helpful people, so many friendly people, and such like a cool community, really. So, in general, I do love hardcore. It is just that one aspect right there really pisses me off, and I don't understand, like, why people go through the efforts of griefing that much, and what actually sets them off. Like, the guy from the hardcore servers who tried to grief me, because the group was too slow, and then he kept trying to grief me for a week straight. He always failed, by the way, but he kept trying. That's some issues right there, man. But I don't know, like, I feel like some people take hardcore way too serious, and not in the best way. Like, some people take it way too serious in the worst way possible, and then just create the worst case scenario for both themselves and everyone else. So be careful about griefers. Now, overall, once again, I love hardcore, love the community, and I love the connection that I get to my character. It is just, you build that connection in a different way, and you feel more attached to the character as well. Plus, item upgrades mean more, the dungeons mean more as well, because we have a daily lockout on the hardcore servers. Instead of being able to spam Wailing Caverns, for example, you do it once per day, so you feel like your dungeon runs, they actually matter a little bit more. And yeah, it's just such a cool way to play the game, and I really think it's really cool how we are now allowed to start on hardcore, and if you die, you can transfer for free to the PvE servers. I mean, technically I do understand why it's not PvP servers as well, because the hardcore servers are technically PvE. They're called hardcore normal, right? And I don't believe we have ever been able to transfer from normal to PvP in Classic WoW, so there might be some technical limitations there on Blizzard's side, but I do hope that at some point we are able to transfer from hardcore to the PvP servers as well. But either way, that's a video about the whole griefing scenario that happened. My shaman has died, by the way, in the level 24 shaman. I died in Hillsbrad, but that's due to a mistake, like partly a mistake on my half, and partly that I tried to save someone who didn't save me back. So like, number one, I was doing a quest I shouldn't have, but I was in a party, so I thought we're two people, we'll be fine. I saved him, he did not save me. But either way, we live and we learn, and I'm going again. The shaman number 2 is already back up, by the way, to level 16, so we're getting there. Either way, hardcore is fun. Go and test it out, but be careful about griefers, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video very soon.